humans, it's just Martine and welcome to the first vlog of the Magical Hopathon. If you haven't heard of the Magical Hopathon, it's a month-long readathon that's being hosted by Rachel. I'll leave her announcement videos down below. I love her channel and I'm so stoked for this readathon. It's such a cool and cute idea to help celebrate the 50th anniversary of Disney World. I live in Central Florida. Disney World is huge here and I love Disney World myself. My favorite series growing up was Kingdom Keepers. When I saw that there was a Disney themed readathon, I had to do it. I just had to do it. And I'm making an individual vlog for each of the 4 parks. Each park has a different set of prompts, but if you want more information about how it's all going to work, I definitely recommend checking out her video because she explained it really well and I'm not going to be able to. So this week is Epcot. Epcot is my favorite of the Disney parks, so I thought it would be the perfect place to start. It's also the setting of my favorite one of the Kingdom Keepers books, so bonus. But quickly, I'm going to talk over my TBR for this portion. I don't know how long this vlog will span across, as long as it takes me to finish Epcot before I move on to my next location in the Disney World universe. But before I can even enter Epcot, I need to have a ticket to get in. I need an admission ticket. So the prompt for an admission ticket to Epcot, which is the only admission ticket I'll need for the whole Hopathon, is going to be a translated work. So for this, I'm going to be reading An Elderly Woman is Up to No Good. It's a Swedish work. And it might be a series of short stories, which I dig. More information on that to come when I read it. Then once I'm inside the park, the first beeline I always make is for the land, which is a pavilion that's on like this side. If you're walking into Epcot, you go past Spaceship Earth and you like make a hard right and you go to the land. That's always where I start. Usually that's because my family will have fast passes for Soarin', but I'm not going to do the prompt for Soarin'. I'm actually going to do the prompt for the ride that holds a very special place in my heart for a couple of reasons. One is because it's always the next thing we do either before Soarin' or the thing we do right before Soarin' because we have some time before our fast passes kick in, and that's Living with the Land. There's also a picture in Living with the Land that looks like one of my grandma's, so my family always loves going and being like, we miss her, especially because she loved gardening, so Living with the Land is like perfect. So I love Living with the Land. The prompt for Living with the Land is a short book under 200 pages, mainly because it's a short wait. The most I've ever waited for Living with the Land is like 15 minutes, but usually you just walk right on, which is another reason that it's one of my favorites. I love not having to wait for it. So under 200 pages, and for that I'm going to be reading The Haunting of Gothorpe House, and that's a paranormal mystery and it's 196 pages. So right there under the 200 threshold, but sounds perfect. Then for my snack in Epcot, I'm obviously going to go to the World Showcase. The prompt for this is to read a book set in or by an author from one of the World Showcase countries. And if this was an ideal world, I would be reading something Canada related because I have lots of family in Canada and I always love going to the movie there and listening to the music there in particular. That's always like a highlight of my day in Epcot. But instead I'm going to read a book that I have to read for a different video anyway. So I'm going to be reading The Parasite by Arthur Conan Doyle. He's from the UK and the UK is in the World Showcase, so we're counting it. Finally for Epcot, what show am I going to go watch? I feel like it's everybody's favorite show in Epcot. It's Turtle Talk with Crush. I have so many good memories of seeing this. And now that I'm an adult, going and watching the little kids interact with them is like so fun. So the prompt for Turtle Talk with Crush is read a middle grade. And I'm super excited because that means I get to read Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow, which I've been wanting to read for a long time and picked up on sale pretty recently. So I'm super stoked about this. Like, I just want to love this series and have something new to like be obsessed with. A nice middle grade. It'll be a fast read, like it's chunky, but it's going to be quick. I'm so excited for it. I'm hoping this will make my heart happy in the same way that Turtle Talk with Crush does. So that's the Epcot TBR. I'm gonna catch up with you tomorrow when I start reading to get my admission ticket. It's the first day of October, so it's the first official day of the Magical Hopathon this year. Woo, super exciting. And I just finished my first book. It's 4:30 p.m. and today I was reading my entrance ticket prompt. And so since I'm starting with Epcot, The prompt is to read a translated book. So I read An Elderly Lady is Up to No Good, and I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars, not 8 out of 5 stars, but 4 out of 5 stars. This was a short story collection, very brief, maybe like 6 or 7 short stories within them, all revolving around this one elderly lady named Maud. And I had no idea what this was about going in, because that's my way of things. And so I was shocked to find out that this elderly old lady, the way in which she is up to no good is that she murders people for various reasons across various contexts. This should have been obvious to me since the cover of this book has a skull and crossbones on it, but I didn't think about that at all. I was literally just searching in my library's collection for a translated work. I saw it was short. I was like, yeah, sign me up. That's the perfect, like, ideal solution for the entrance, because I didn't want to spend too long on my entrance prompt because I wanted to like get in the park. You know what I mean? So I read it and I really enjoyed it. I thought Maud was a really interesting character, and the reasons that she had for killing this person or that person were all different, but were all interesting to read about. And the progression of the stories was also interesting in like the way that other people didn't view her at all as a potential suspect, and then how that might have changed over time and such. I enjoyed this thoroughly. I don't think I had a favorite of the collection, although I do have to say that the moment in the first story where she killed a character for the first time made me go like, because I hadn't realized. So I had no idea that she was gonna do that. So it kind of like took me by surprise. But then once I knew that, it was interesting to see her like modus operandi shift over time, or like the reasons that she targeted people. It was interesting. So it was a quick and fun and interesting read, so I definitely recommend it, especially if you're looking for a translated work and you're kind of like iffy about that area of literature. I would highly recommend this one because it was super good and interesting. So now I'm officially in Epcot, prompt wise. So I'm going to head straight for the land. Like I said, that's what I do every time I'm in Epcot. And I'm going to hit up Living with the Land, which is the prompt for a book under 200 pages. I forgot the title of the book that I'm gonna read, but you already heard it like a second ago, so it's no big deal. While we're in the land, I wanted to stop and tell a story time. I have lots of stories from Disney, so I might as well infuse them in these vlogs a little bit as I'm in each park, just to enhance the experience. I have a specific memory that's very important to me from the Land Pavilion. It took place when I was getting off of Soarin', actually. But as soon as we got off Soarin', we got on Living with the Land. And so you'll see why Living with the Land is important to that memory because of who I went on Living with the Land with. So basically, here's some context. It was my freshman year of college, and since I live in like Central Florida-ish for college, Disney World is not too far away. And so for a specific program that I was doing with my school, we went to like the leadership excursion that takes place in Epcot. Like you can book your group to do this or whatever. So we did that during the morning, and it was the day before my birthday that year. And I was super excited to be spending the day in Epcot because Epcot is my favorite Disney park. And I was like, the day before my birthday, I get to spend in my favorite place ever. Like that's incredibly magical. As if Disney isn't already magical enough, then you add on that. So I was with my sister and some other of my like peers and classmates, and Harris and I had been dating since like around the end of October, so it had been a little over a month at this point, and I was going and I was excited about the trip, but I was kind of bummed that he wouldn't be there, especially since it was the day before my birthday and I was like busy on my birthday. So that was like really my birthday celebration for that year. In my mind, he made an arrangement and he surprised me in the park right after I got off of Soarin', and then we went and we sat on Living with the Land. And I was still kind of reeling at that point. Part of me knew it was going to happen. I was putting pieces together throughout the day, as like Michaela was getting a weird amount of texts that she wouldn't let me see. He was saying weird things like, oh, I can't do any of my homework now, or but like he was just saying the most ludicrous things that didn't match up. Like, yes, the Wi-Fi here goes out all the time, and it did that year too, but like the things you were saying just weren't matching up. And I'd seen a text a couple weeks before that was like, do you have anyone you're going to Disney with? Which was Harris's mom to him. And I happened to see that, and I was like, he's not going to Disney anytime soon. So the pieces were coming together, and Michaela was getting more and more like anxious and agitated as we walked into the land, and then we're in line for Soarin' and stuff. So I was slightly anticipating that Harris would be where he was in this clip that I'm about to show you. But obviously, even when you guess a surprise, you're like, I have to be making this up. This isn't true or whatever. So it was still surprising and disconcerting and shocking. So I'm gonna show you the footage of him surprising me. And then we moved on with our day. We spent the day together. It was a really fun day. We listened to lots of good music, ate some pretty good food, had a good time, went on rides. It was our first trip to Disney together, but not our last, but you'll have to wait till next time to hear about that. Yeah, so that's a fun little memory of living with the land. So now that I've gotten into the park, I've headed straight for the land, and I'm going to kind of recreate that moment in my mind. I'm walking on to living with the land, remembering the time that I was there with Harris and the many, many times my family has gone on living with the land and enjoyed it together. What is screaming in the tree? Excuse me. All right, it's Saturday night. It just turned 8 p.m. and I also just finished my second book for this readathon, The Haunting of Gothorpe House. And I ended up giving this 3 stars. It is like a paranormal haunting story thing, and I enjoyed it. It was right for the season and all those things, and it was a short, quick read. It took me just about 2 hours to read, and it's like 196 pages. So it was a fast read and it was interesting. And now for my next prompt in Epcot, I'm going to do the snack one, and of course I'm going to go to the World Showcase, and so that will be to read a book that's written by an author from one of the countries in the World Showcase or takes place in one of them. And so I'm going to read Parasite, maybe The Parasite. Anyway, it's by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who I love because I love Sherlock Holmes. This is not a Sherlock Holmes story. This is a different one of his works, I'm pretty sure, and I'm excited about it. I think that it's perfect to do a UK-based book for this prompt because I have a specific memory about food from the England portion of the World Showcase. And that is that the very first time that my family ever had a dining reservation that I can remember at Disney, it was in Epcot and it was at the pub in England. I have like a pretty vivid memory of going, and we haven't been back to that restaurant since, but I definitely remember like the experience in general, and I remember being so excited that we had like reservations at a restaurant. It was such a big deal. So that's a special memory for me. Although I do have to say that my favorite food of all time from Epcot, or like my favorite meal ever that I've eaten at Disney, is like the beef noodles from the Lotus Flower Cafe. Unfortunately, I can't eat that now because I'm vegetarian and have been for like several years. But before I was, this was my favorite. And it's like spicy and good and just yum. And I was proud of myself for finding it because one time when my family went to Epcot, I was like planning out places that we could go and eat and stuff. And the Lotus Flower Cafe was one that I had researched. And then I was like, we should try this. It looks like it has some good options. We did. And then I found like my favorite Disney meal there. So I have some fond memories there. I also have some other fond memories in the World Showcase. I have memories in the World Showcase, specifically in America, when I was in the candlelight procession my senior year of high school. We did it when Neil Patrick Harris was hosting, and that was really fun. I also have memories of seeing lots of great shows, whether it was like the Voices of Liberty singing, or one time we were there, like there was a Broadway singing thing happening, people singing songs from like Disney Broadway musicals, and there were different like Disney Broadway performers there each week. And the week that we went, it was this one girl who'd been in Mary Poppins, and then the guy who originally played Tarzan in the musical, and his voice was incredible. And so just the other night I was listening to songs from Tarzan and like listening to him sing and being like, oh my goodness, I've heard him sing in person before, and it was so cool. Also, the World Showcase typically has different food depending on what festival is going on. So the last time I went there, it was the Food and Garden Festival. We had lots of good food, including this one, like, it was this whole stand that was sponsored by like Impossible Burger or whatever. And it was this Korean dish, but it was made with like Impossible meat, and that was so good. And yeah, so lots of good memories in the World Showcase, but England is our next stop. I just finished reading The Parasite by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. It's a horror novelette set in the Victorian period, and I ended up giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars. That's exciting. Third book down, almost done with Epcot. Just one more to go, but it is the longest book so far in Epcot. To finish off Epcot, I'm going to do one of my favorite shows, Turtle Talk with Crush, and the prompt for that is to read a middle grade, so I'm going to be reading Nevermore: The Trials of Morgan Crow, which I'm super excited about. I'm trying to think if there are any interesting stories that I have left about Epcot. I don't think I have anything right now, so if I happen to remember one, I'll let you know. But if not, then I'll just get on with reading Nevermore. All right, it's here. I read my fourth and final book for Epcot. For Turtle Talk with Crush, I had to read a middle grade, so I read Nevermore: The Trials of Morgan Crow, and I ended up giving this 4.5 out of 5 stars. First, I'll tell you all the reasons I really enjoyed it, and then I'll tell you the reasons why maybe it didn't hit a full 5 stars for me. I thought this was a really interesting premise. I'm not necessarily going to recite back to you the premise of this book because I feel like everybody's always talking about the premise of this book. The basics: it's a cursed child, then she's whisked off to this new land, whatever. I really liked the world building in this. I thought it was very creative. Like, you could see where Jessica Townsend got inspiration from other books in this like specific genre of middle grade fantasy-esque type things, but you also saw how she made it her own. And it didn't ever feel like she was just like copying anybody else. I really liked most of the characters in this. I found them to each have like very distinct personalities and interesting ones at that. And I liked Morgan Crow as a main character too. I thought she was interesting. Her fears and concerns were like very easy to relate to in some ways. She felt like there was nothing special about her. She didn't know what set her apart, and she was not used to people like caring about her. Usually people feared her, so to come to this place where she made like friends and found a family of a type, like, I really loved reading that. So it does very much have a strong found family trope, which I enjoyed. I also thought the hotel involved in this was a very fun place. All the different rooms were very entertaining to read about, and I thought they added such a unique dimension to the world building of this. I liked the narration of it. Like, there were some side comments that the narration would make that I thought was interesting and definitely added those little touches to the world building. For example, there was one room in the hotel where there's like a different aroma depending on like the goals that that room is trying to put off. So it's kind of like an aromatherapy room essentially, but they'd be like, they were in this room, and then in parentheses it would be like peppermint to aid digestion or something depending on the scene. So I thought that was really like clever, and I liked that that was continually done. Like, every time they were in that room, she explained what scent it was and why. I also liked all the reveals at the end. Some things I like saw coming in some ways, but others I was really surprised at, like the reveal on Jack, for instance. I had no idea, so that was cool. And I'm definitely interested in continuing on with the series if I ever have access to them. I'm not like in a rush to pick it up, and that's one of the things that I think distinguishes this from a 5-star book. Like, I don't desperately need to read the next one, like right now or even in the near future. I think hopefully in the future it will become available through my library and I'll read it and I'll very much enjoy it, but like, I don't need it right now. Additionally, although there were parts that I loved, for instance, I loved how in every season it was written in such a way that wasn't overly descriptive, but you really felt like it was that season. Like, when she was describing autumn, I felt like it was autumn. When she was describing winter, I felt that like Christmas spirit and stuff. I really loved those parts of it, but I did feel like it was kind of long because it's like 460 pages. And yeah, the margins are pretty wide and there's not much text on each page, but just, I feel like middle grade books are getting chunkier and chunkier, and I don't think all of it was strictly necessary. And at some points I was just like, this is lagging just a touch. But I liked all the characters I was meant to like. I hated all the characters I was meant to hate. I was afraid for the characters in different points. I cared about them and what happened to them. And I really, really loved the world building. So 4.5 out of 5 stars. So that concludes my Epcot vlog for the Magical Hopathon. If I have any other like pictures I want to show you now, like I'll sprinkle them somewhere. If not, oh well. But the next hop I'm gonna do over to a park is Hollywood Studios. So if you want to see what I get up to in Hollywood Studios for my reading vlog, then go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up and comment down below, are you participating in the Magical Hopathon? If not, what's your favorite Disney park? And subscribe for more reading, writing, and college lifestyle content videos. And until next time, bye humans, bye!